one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Beagle,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Present.
Councilmember Behrman,
Present.
Councilmember Gotchel, Councilmember Grenlin Fox, Councilmember Sharp,
Present.
Councilmember Smiley,
Here.
quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight. City Manager?
I have none, Mayor.
Assistant City Manager?
I have none, sir.
Any from the dais? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. We've got two sets of minutes to approve tonight. The first is the goals session of April 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the goal session of April 9th, 2024. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Second set of minutes to approve tonight is the regular city council meeting of April 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Got a motion and a support. Any discussion? Seeing none, I got a motion and support to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of April 9th, 2024. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have no correspondence tonight, which leads us to the first call to the public. The rules to the call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons who wish to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council, and all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public?
Good evening. I'm Derek Hewlett, resident, City of Wixom, 477 Fletcher Street. Tonight I am representing my employer, the Snethkamp Automotive Group. I came to my attention that tonight on the agenda we are looking at purchasing a Dodge Ram through the My Deal contract through the state contractor out of Lansing. I've prepared a proposal that would be significant savings to the city above and beyond what the My Deal program would provide. We've provided vehicles to the city now. I was on my way over here tonight. I was trying to think how long we've been actually providing vehicles, and I was thinking Charlie Yon was the lieutenant at the time when we first started our project. And since then, I know that we provide excellent service both before and after the sale that I'm pretty certain that the dealership out in Lansing would not be able to do. If you'd like, I have several copies of our proposal. Our net delivered price would be $45,245 if the council would like to receive those.
I think at this time we'll pass. If there's discussion later on it, we'll take them, but
Sure. Thank you.
45.
245.
45,245.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for the call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close the call to the public. Move on to city managers' reports, the departmental reports of March 2024. Do we have any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick.
A couple of them tonight. First one, perhaps City Manager Brown. I noticed that Skynet is looking for an alternative to the training for security and cybersecurity training. Was it found to be ineffective, or because I know KnowBe4 is probably one of the most popular ones, right?
I'll defer to the assistant city manager on that.
Yeah, so the long story short there is we're not dissatisfied with KnowBe4's service. Actually, it's gone pretty well. The main point of looking at alternative options is just we've seen a pretty significant price increase from our previous 3-year arrangement to what's being proposed right now. So we're still considering updating, that option or looking at alternative services just to see what the options are. we're hoping to make a decision on that shortly, but that is where that comes from.
Just trying to be prudent on that.
Okay, very good, thank you. Next question I have is for Ruben John. I see him out there in the audience. I noticed in the report for the wastewater treatment plant, we call out that the drinking water limit for PFAS is 16 parts per trillion, and for PFOS, and then 8 for PFOA. I know that April 10th, the EPA enacted the new rule of 4 parts per trillion for both PFOS and PFOA.
Yep.
Will that be reflected in the next reporting cycle?
These, I can put them into our report, but the wastewater standards are different than for the drinking water standards. So where our effluent is treated on the wastewater, we put the drinking water standard in to show how close we're meeting to drinking water standards, but the wastewater limit in our permit is a little higher than required. So that is some enforcement for that would have to go through council and approval to get into our ordinances.
Okay, no, I just noticed it references the drinking water limit on page.
Right, so for at the point when we did this, we hadn't really typed it from the local ordinance point of view, so we just use that as reference.
Okay.
We can start putting in the local ordinance limits as well.
It's actually nationwide though, isn't it?
What's that?
drinking water.
For drinking water, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have no items under the consent agenda tonight. We have no unfinished business tonight, which leads us to new business number 1, which is a recommendation to utilize the MyDeal bid price and authorize the purchase of a 2024 Dodge Ram 2500 crew cab pickup truck from LaFontaine Automotive Group of Lansing, Michigan for $46,969 from vehicle purchase, fire account number 401-336-973.350, and approve the associated budget amendment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Very good. Chief Geisler?
Good evening. Tonight before you, you have documentation showing the replacement of a current 29-year-old Humvee that was a military Humvee, and then it was converted into a grass fire pickup truck. And our goal is to take the vehicle that has become a completely unreliable for us. From a battery standpoint, the electronic system has become a nightmare. We're having trouble keeping it just running. So at this point in time, we're looking to replace that vehicle and purchase a new one.
Good. Any questions? Councilmember Behrman.
I was just curious on your thoughts through the counter proposal from the public this evening, saving what, close to about $2,000.
Based on the specifications provided, it's the exact same truck. On my end, it doesn't matter to me. We're getting the exact same truck from Sneff Camp as we would be from the LaFontaine that's in there. We just use the MyDeal because it's already a bidded process that we take care of. Sneff Camp wasn't part of that, as far as I know. They didn't make it onto the page that shows that. So from my standpoint, it's a exact same vehicle.
I guess then a follow-up question would be for administration. Would administration have any issue with us going with Sneff Camp and saving $2,000?
Yeah, so I had some discussions on that front with the fire chief to begin with, and then also with people on staff, as well as I decided to do a quick consultation with the city attorney on that. Typically, when you have a solicitation process, you would never entertain a quote from somebody outside of that solicitation process, but that's when it's a local solicitation process. In other words, you know, if we had done it locally, obviously for just a single vehicle or maybe 2 vehicles or whatever the case may be in a particular case, that's a little bit different than the MyDeal situation because that's A, at the state level, and B, for a higher quantity of vehicles. So it's kind of a situation where I don't think that you should do it unless you were to do a waiver of the bid process, I think is what you would be required from council to do a waiver of the bid process. then have a vote on it, and that would require a unanimous vote to award the bid to the alternative vendor that talked to council earlier this evening. Because otherwise, you know, the My Deal process is treated as a solicitation process, and that's the whole benefit of it. You don't have to do that solicitation process yourself. However, when you have a situation like this that's pretty unique, you could make a decision to do that. You'd have to waive that process and then have a unanimous vote to do so, and then proceed with that alternative quote.
So
That's my advice.
my thought on it would be, if the rest of the council would be in support, I'd be comfortable waiving the bid process and going with the cheaper bid, especially since we've done business with Smith Camp before, and we're not gonna have to pay $2 per mile for delivery, and they already service our vehicles anyways. I correct, right?
I would
The warranty work they?
No.
They would conduct warranty work, but individual service would be handled by the city mechanic.
Okay, well.
Regular maintenance.
Yeah, regular,
Yeah,
routine
I-
maintenance.
I understand the conversation. So if we bid this out, we can't just solicit another bid from somebody else at our meeting.
Right.
But given the fact that it was just taking the My Deal bid, we can do it if we would waive the bid process.
If you choose to do so, I think that would be your path forward to go that route.
Okay. Well, I'd be comfortable with that if others were.
Is that a motion?
No, I'd like to hear what other people think. I don't
Okay.
want to waste our time with a motion if others don't want to save $2,000.
All right, Deputy Mayor Resnick?
If I may call Mr. Hewlett back up. Simple question, why does Smith Camp not participate in the MI-Deal bid process?
It's complicated. It forces us to have a one-size-fits-all pricing structure that ultimately any agency in the state can utilize. It becomes cumbersome. We're not centrally located in the state. We actually did previously own a store in Lansing, which was purchased by LaFontaine. And when we owned that store, we did participate in the program. It's just not logistically feasible at our Redford, Gaylord, or a Highland Park location.
So Smith Camp is three.
Correct. And previously, the city has done business with both our Redford store, our Highland Park store, and our leasing company, Corporate Fleet Services.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. You can stay if you want, but this is actually for administration. But somebody else might need to. Thanks for coming, by the way, with this offer. You mentioned a couple things. You consulted the attorney.
Yep.
Is everything okay as long as we waive the bid process, or is there, I don't know, other trouble that might come about with kind of reneging on our?
I outlined the entire situation to the city attorney, and her feelings mirrored mine almost exactly. And with the administration, it was actually our DPW Director, Tim Sikma, that came up with that approach regarding the waiver of the bid process. I'd like to think I would have thought of it eventually, but Tim came up with it first. So it was his idea about that. I vetted that with the city attorney as well, and she basically said, I kind of feel the same way, that, you know, it does cause a little bit of concern to not follow that outcome of that bid process, but it is not a local bid process, and if you follow that other step of waiving the bid process, she was comfortable that you'd be all right on that front.
Okay, good. And just sort of related, you guys deal with and interact with the My Deal more than, I do. Are we setting a bad precedent? Does it
No,
have any repercussions at all?
No, I see no repercussions whatsoever on that front. The My Deal pricing's available to communities across the state. If you wanted to participate, you just put in a request for one of the pieces of equipment or whatever, and as long as they have availability, you're going to get that piece of equipment.
Okay, thank you. And just worth knowing, I would support a waiving of the bid process if you're doing it in formal pull. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gremlin Fox?
My question was just standing. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Councilmember Gatchel?
Thank you. Do we have any idea how many proposals were submitted for My Deal?
I don't know that, I don't have that answer, no, and I don't know, the fire chief is nodding his head no, that he doesn't have that information either, so.
The list is provided. to municipalities through the state of Michigan, but you don't see the back end of all the proposals that came through. All you see is the award, what dealerships were awarded the actual bids. Yeah, it's all state-based.
Okay, that was my only, just thinking about if we go waive the bid process versus going with this, or another alternative is doing the bid ourselves, but wanting to make sure it wasn't just one vendor that submitted a proposal and was awarded it, but we're saving money, so, go ahead.
I don't know the answer to that specifically, but I would find it hard to believe that that would be the case. It's probably a pretty substantial process that's involved, and probably a fair number of bidders that are involved because of the volume and the opportunity to move a lot of different vehicles, as the case may be. So I don't think that would be an issue. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to mention is just to keep in mind again that it was not a local bid process that was performed. As such, we didn't have any involvement with it, and I think somebody mentioned the word reneging on that. There's nothing like that involved. The fire chief has not contacted my deal that we're going to go through and purchase that vehicle through them. There's no expectation from them. We're not backing out of a commitment to them. We were going to get approval from council to proceed, and then we were going to go and process the request through my deal for that. We have not done that paperwork. Just for clarity.
Yeah, I was thinking more just like, as we've been dealing with contractors and people retire, then we get one bid and.
Yeah, I understand.
prices on up. So, yes, we're saving $1,700, but is that $1,700 off of one bid, and maybe we do better, what have you? Because I believe in the last few vehicle purchases we've made, it's been close, or Snethkamp has maybe been slightly more than another bid that we've gotten, at least for the police vehicles. So that's where I'm just kind of at. I don't know that I have an opinion whether we waive or do whatever. I like that it's savings, but it's tough to know without knowing how many people bid on this.
And if I could still do math, it's $1,724.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
yep.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to thank Chief Geisler for coming in under budget on this overall, or at budget, by transferring money from an unused fund to a over budget fund to pay for the truck inside the 24 fiscal year. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I feel like maybe some of my messaging or my previous comments have not gone unheeded. I really appreciate the fact that now we have a chance to either modify 2025 budget or move it to 25 as part of the approval process that we're in right now. So in terms of the cost, I would thank you for coming in right at your budget number overall inside your department. Now, regarding MI Deal, we use MI Deal all the time. Now, am I going to start asking, well, wait a minute, have we talked to our local folks? Can they come in less than this? I don't really like going outside MI Deal. We just go blindly with it. And if we're not going to go blindly with it tonight, I'm going to start asking, let's go out and quote everything all the time. I mean, why not? That's supposed to be what it's for. I feel like, and no offense to Snethkamp, but we do put the packet out there for public review ahead of time. They can get all the details and come in and lowball a bid that was taken through MI Deal with all these competing companies. And there's pros and cons there. You don't like the cons. Snethkamp doesn't like the cons. That's fine. But why reward them when they want to come in and lowball it? So I would not support waiving the bid process. I would, however, vote for the 46,969 from LaFontaine. Thank you.
When did you find out that this truck was going out for bid?
I found out on Thursday evening, just as looking through the agenda packet for this upcoming meeting. If I would have known sooner, I would have addressed it with administration much earlier.
Because I guess this is my issue, is I appreciate the business that you've done with us in the past, but you look through the packet and you see this, and you come in after we do all the work with a low ball and expect us to come in and say, okay, and that doesn't float my boat, I guess. It seems kind of shaky to me that you're going to go through the packet and say, oh, we could do better than this, and then you're going to come in with a better offer. And to me, that's not kosher to me. So I would be against voting to waive the bid process, and I would support going with the My Deal bid on that. Councilmember Behrman.
I'm not going to make a motion to waive the bid process, and we have 2 council members that would be against it. That would be a waste of time. But I do think maybe understanding why your bid was close to $2,000 under the My Deal bid, and perhaps tabling this this item to send it out to bid. Realistically, I mean, if we can save $2,000 by sending it out to bid, maybe My Deal just isn't competitive at this point for some reason or another. Can you explain why you're so much cheaper than?
You know, frankly, I have, every time that I've bid a vehicle for the city, I kind of use the same parameters. Instead of doing a reduction from MSRP or a reduction from the My Deal price, we work on a markup basis, what my cost of acquisition would be, and we add a few $100s to it. And frankly, every one of my bids that we've ever submitted to the city meet that same criteria. It's a service that we provide to the city just as a cost savings. And again, if it would have been a local bid, we would have submitted, and I'm confident that we would either be close or would have been the winner of that bid.
And then for administration, that the Michigan, the MI bid process is just vendors that have contracted with the state of Michigan that municipalities can lump on with, correct?
Yeah, I would refer to it as basically piggybacking onto the My Deal pricing agreement.
So it's fair to assume someone who's selling vehicles to the state of Michigan in bulk might not be the same kind of person that would bid on a municipal contract of 1 or 2 cars.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, I can't speak for other people in the business, but, you know, at the price that it's at, you know, you'd be basically giving up something that might be a pretty high profit margin vehicle for not that high of a profit margin, and you'd be committing to a large number of them, and that would be maybe something that would cause a local dealership not to pursue it. But that's just me talking without any knowledge of it. I haven't vetted that with anybody. Just that's what my guess would be.
So I guess my take on it would be is, if we're seeing that we can save $2,000 on a car by sending it out to bid, maybe we need to send it out to bid.
Okay, just real quick, if we send it out to bid, what's it cost us to process the bids, put the bid in wherever, the papers or whatever, and that, how much does that cost us?
Yeah, that's you know, that's the benefit of doing something through like a My Deal or a Mitten, where it's been the administrative legwork has been done already by another agency, and you don't have to go through that. There is a cost to that organizationally, time, effort, sometimes publication if that's involved, and those sort of things. So those are all considerations, and in this case, you know, I wouldn't venture to guess what we would have actually saved, but that's a concern. There's an effort level, there's a cost associated with that. If you're taking away from organizational capacity to do a bid, there's a cost to doing that.
Assistant City Manager?
Just to sort of piggyback on Steve's point, so how the My Deal program works is, just on an even larger picture, they're bidding out numerous types of vehicles, everything from, you know, passenger vehicles. They'll break it out by brand, and they'll have all the specifications already ready. So really, what it allows you to do is to go through and say, you know, without having to sort of pre-say, you know, do I want an F-150 or I want an F-250, you know, with these certain specifications, and they're all already pre-bid out for you. So the state's really doing all the legwork to give all of the options. So that's kind of the benefit of it, especially on the sense of, you know, when we're putting it together, you would have to pre-specify exactly what, you know, what options you want, you know, what specifications, making sure you get all that correct, make sure that bidders know exactly what, you know, what you're looking for. The MIDeal process does just offer a little bit more flexibility to sort of look at what the cost difference is based on these prearranged prices. So from a staff timing perspective, I would say it probably saves, it's a significant savings.
I mean, are we talking $100, or are we talking $500? Because if we're gonna, we go out for bid to save $1,700 and it costs us $500 to $700 to do it, you know, by the time you get done with that, is it really a savings?
1,100.
Hey, but
I know what you're saying.
But in,
Yeah.
in terms of staff hour, I mean, I don't know if we've ever done that math, but
Okay.
there's a decent amount of staff
Right.
hourly time that would be
Okay.
involved in doing all that.
all right.
And the other thing too, I'd like to point out about MyDeal is just that there's economies of scale that are in play there, right? We don't bid out 20 or 30 or 40 of these types of trucks, and the MyDeal, I don't remember the quantity that was involved here, but it's a lot more than one. So that's a factor that goes into the pricing as well, and generally produces a better result for the communities that participate.
Floor still yours?
I'm not comfortable approving the agenda item as proposed if we can save $2,000 basically by, or potentially $2,000 immediately. So I would make a motion to table this and send it out to bid to see really where we're at on this. I just not comfortable spending an extra $2,000 just because we didn't want to send it out to bid if we have a vendor who's willing to give it to us $2,000 cheaper.
All right, I have a motion on the floor to table new business number 1. Have a second?
I support that.
Very good. We have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Oh, discuss? Yep, you can. Did you want to? Councilmember Gacho?
Thank you. When it comes to tabling, I guess I would prefer that was withdrawn until the rest of the conversations had happened. I have some other comments as well, but as a word, like last resort tabling, but it would be nice if we didn't have to just table it right now without continuing conversation on the main item.
I can withdraw my motion to continue discussion if that's what you'd like.
Thank you.
And I withdraw my second.
Very good. Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yeah, so my guess, I mean, just, you know, if we look at, there'll have to be at least 4 to 5 staff members involved in this, right? By the time you do the publication, Chief Geisler puts the spec out there, you publicize it, and then receive them, review them. It's probably gonna eat up that $1,700. I mean, my guess, just knowing what the cost of a man-hour is.
4 to 5 might be, I would say probably closer to 2 to 3, but
Yeah.
there'd be a decent amount of man hours, primarily on the department director who is doing that particular bid process, and then obviously Tim, you're pretty heavily involved in a lot of these, so
Right.
those two would probably, Chief and Tim. would be our
And
largest.
we talk about how Tim's stretched thin as it is, so, right? So I don't think I'd support going out to bid. You know, one of the suggestions I have, because I've participated in my own company and my deal is it doesn't cost a lot to do it, right? I know there's some effort in terms of getting your vehicles into it, but maybe for future, take another look at it. I know you're a 3-store dealership, and those are far and few between lately, between the Foxes and the LaFontaines in the state. But yeah, so I don't think I'd support tabling it at this point.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. I agree with the you know, low bidding concern that the mayor and Councilman Sharp you know, described. And I think in normal circumstances, that would be enough for me. What I'm stuck on is that, you know, we have this relationship with Snethkamp, a good one, far as I can tell, going back to Chief Yan, or in that case, Lieutenant Yan, I think you said at the time. And then there's no history of, you guys showing up and, swooping in, I don't know how else to describe it, and lowballing to get in on it. I feel like, this is a circumstance where, a company we have a good relationship with just wasn't in on it, and they want to give us the best deal they can because they like us as a customer and we like them as our vendor. So I still like the idea of waiving the process, the bid process, and giving it to them, taking the savings, and not going for this. If this happens again anytime soon, I'd be like, well, it's not. That's why I asked and was concerned about what precedent we might be setting with this kind of thing. So I'm still with that, and yeah, I really don't want to do the tabling version of this, but if that got us, if that's what it took, it sounds like it's a couple $100, still a $1,500 savings for us. That seems like worthwhile. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're still setting a precedence with, if we go out for bid and then somebody reads the board packet and says, I'm gonna come in and lowball, if we do it now, we're gonna have to do it next time and time after that, because that's the way we've done business, so. Councilmember Gatchel?
Thank you. If it keeps happening, we'll be saving a lot of money. But, so I guess to kind of talk about a few things I've heard, to me, savings is savings. It doesn't matter what form it's coming in, whether it was through MI deal being cheaper than if we bid it independently, or if we had someone we've been working with in the past coming to us at a meeting because they weren't a part of that process. I think maybe in the future, and we've talked a little bit about this in the past when we haven't gotten bids or where we've called to invite people, but if we have a longer term relationship with a vendor or provider, and we're thinking about doing MI deal, maybe we can reach out to the person we've been working with for vehicles or whatever it may be in that instance to see if they would be willing to make a bid or make us a proposal. I think city council wise, at least for me, it would be easier to look at that saying, hey, we're proposing or recommending we waive the bid process to purchase this vehicle, and we're doing this because they're $1,700 less than my deal, or whatever the case may be, Mitten, whoever we're going through. I do like keeping our relationships up, but our relationships also have to help us, and in this case it is. It's been touched on a little bit about what it would cost for us to bid this, and we talk about man hours. I guess my perspective is a little bit different in that when we spend man hours on this, we're not taking away from profit-making activities elsewhere because we're not a for-profit entity. So our team members are here to help make sure that we're managing our purchases and money in the most economical way possible. And so I wouldn't have a problem if we did bid this out. Well, this one, I would favor just taking the savings. But in the future as well, I don't think it's necessarily the best perspective to say, oh, well, it's gonna cost us $1,500 to do that. Our team members are here to work anyway. We're not bringing in an outside consultant, and we're not sacrificing profit somewhere else. The work is going to get done one way or the other. I also understand the necessity, or I guess the argument of being a more local company or smaller operation than statewide and not wanting to do that. And that's why, again, maybe we should reach out to our vendors as we're doing these things to invite them, or at least ask them, hey, were you a part of this bid process? If you weren't, maybe that's worth having a conversation. And then just the comments between the budget study session and tonight about coming in under budget and wanting to save money, it seems a little odd to vote to spend more money when we're worried about saving money. just because it's coming to us in a different way or at the last minute. So I'm still, I guess, in favor of waiving the bid process to move the Smethkamp purchase forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
Thank you. So my thoughts are, we go through MI Deal or Mitten for a reason, right? As far as staff time, it is a consideration, because I've been through it. I know it's not just the process of sending them out. It's the process of going through them. It's the process of perhaps interviewing the people, filling out the documents. So there is staff time that's involved. You brought up a good point, and I don't know how this would work. If we're going out, if we're gonna send something through Mitten, say, or MI Deal or what have you, and we know that there's another business that could perhaps bid, and we contact them, can they go ahead and, how does that work? Can they add on to the Mitten, or can they not even do that if they're not part of Mitten?
Yeah, so if I may, in response to that, right before Councilman Gottschall made his comments, I wrote a note that was almost verbatim, the first few sentences that you talked about, that, you know, in the future, it'd be worth a reach out to check that angle out, just because of what the discussion came about here. Having said that, typically not something that I would advocate for doing, and why we hadn't done it in the past was because it's a bid process that we were choosing to partake in, and even if it wasn't our bid process, I wasn't going to go out and try to solicit somebody beyond that. I think how I would use it in the future is, if I find somebody that might be interested in giving us a better price, then maybe we go through a bid process and go ahead and bid it out. If not, then maybe we go with the My Deal pricing. But that's probably how I would change my practice on this. And it's literally the note that I wrote down right before Councilmember Gottschall made the comments that he made. So that's how I would answer that. That's probably what I would do.
So I would be in favor of that. My concern is, and I'm all for saving money. I like to save money wherever we can. However, my concern is if we do this now, and a couple council members have already said, then what happens in the future when we go through Mitten or My Deal and we have a similar situation and a business person comes and says, oh, well, wait, I can save you more money. I just see it as probably not the best practice, so I would not be in support of that. Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, first of all, on the budget item, we're risking missing the budget year if we go out and do bids and all. So then maybe we don't approve it for next year and you don't get one at all. So I wanted to ask you, Chief Geisler, how do you spec out the vehicle? Did you just look at the list of items that were on the MI Deal and find one that was closest to your adopted budget of $40,000? Or was there something specific about the Dodge Ram versus, say, an F-150? If we go out for open bids, do we just go out for an emergency vehicle, or do we go out for specifically a Dodge Ram? What if a local dealer has a 2023 F-150 crew cab red with all the emergency? Not that I'm supporting F-150s necessarily, but those are good vehicles too. Those are acceptable vehicles. A year old. What was it that said this is the vehicle we want?
So specifications were looked at for a 2,500 or larger for the payload. Crew cab.
F-250 then?
Either F-250 or 2,500, and doing our research, checking with the My Deals and also Varsity local business, the F-250 series was going to be around $54,000. And then when we checked the My Deals for a Dodge, the Dodge 2,500 came in at the 46 number.
Okay, so you kind of had an idea of what vehicle you wanted, then you went out and looked, where can we get the best?
Correct. The best bang for the buck. Instead of sticking with
an MI Deal.
the fleet of Fords that we typically have throughout the city, we did find that the Dodge was going to be much cheaper, and that was the avenue we used to move the Dodge.
We're not going to open it up to the world of probably somebody bids a Ford F-250, they know they're not going to get the business because we don't care what brand it is specifically.
That's correct.
We need payload, we need emergency vehicle, we need red.
Primarily it's the payload and the crew cab.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So that was one. So we've got the budget, got that. I just feel like if we go away from the MI deal, it's a slippery slope because every MI deal that we put out there, as I heard from the dais, opens itself up to somebody coming in the meeting and saying, I can beat that by $10. Now, where do we draw the line on a, it's what, 2.4% or something difference? It's not, I just feel like it's the same as if we opened a bid set from HRC and Umler and somebody else, and then we let the first guy inside that group of bids say, well, I can beat that because I didn't realize you guys were gonna be lower than me. I can beat that. I opened up the package, I see it. That's essentially what has happened here tonight. The Sneth Camp group looked at the agenda, probably looked at the packet, saw the 46,969 and said, we got one on our lot that we can sell them for 45. And let's add $245 on it for our profit, and we'll go make that proposal and see if we can sell it. It's not the right way to do business. I'm done.
Assistant City Manager Benson?
I did just want to add, sort of on that point, but not about this specifically. That is one of the intentions and one of the benefits of the My Deal program. But any bid process that we do is intended that all potential service providers or people who provide the product have an equal opportunity to supply. Hey, you give us your best price. It's all blind. It's all,
And some of those people don't bid, just like Sneth Camp decided not to bid inside the MI Deal program.
Well, I'm not necessarily pointing about this scenario one way or the other. I just wanted to make that point, and that's something we're very conscious of when we talk about, when we put together our bid processes. An example I give is, we're working on securing bids for the demolition of the Renton properties right now, and there's a longer story, but there's a lot of different folks who reach out, and there's these very specific points in the process that are intentional, so that all prospective bidders are able to be treated equal, and that's just the only thing I would add in relationship to this process, where they're all vetted by the state. Every single vendor who is selected to they're the low price for that particular vehicle. They have to go through the state's vetting process and check all these boxes, which is a help to us on when reviewing bids. That's the other thing we'll do. We'll do reference checking. We'll do. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I just wanted to give that context of something that we talk a lot about when we do our internal bid processes.
Very good. Councilmember Behrman?
I understand the discussion that everyone's had, and I agree that I don't want this to be a regular occurrence. But that being said, I do think Sneth Camp is something not a regular, or just I'm trying to think of the proper terminology. It's not just a random vendor showing up. It's someone that we bought dozens of vehicles from in the past. Derek, you're their general manager? Operations manager, who lives downtown Wixom. You come to half of our council meetings when you're not on the agenda, because you're one of the very few citizens that actually cares enough to show up to our meetings. I think that we're not considering giving him the business is a slap in the face to a resident that puts more into coming to our meetings than 99% of the people who live in the city. And the fact that you guys aren't willing to consider waiving the bid process when it's going to save us $1,700, yet we complain about budget nonstop, I think we're missing the point. This is a resident, it's a local business, and we're going to save money. We're going to get the exact same product with better service. It's a no-brainer. And absolutely, I agree that if in the future some other random company is going to start showing up, maybe we need to look at it, or maybe we need to think maybe the MI bid process isn't that best for us to be following. But for us to not even be considering the savings to a resident, shame on us.
Oh, Councilmember Gaccio?
Thank you. I agree in some sense with what was just said. With regard to the bidding process and wanting to go with MI Deal because it's just what we do, I want to reiterate the point that we don't know that that's always best for us. That's who bid on something through that process. And it may not fit, as was pointed out by the resident here today, that there are plenty of local companies who might not have the operational capacity to supply 300 vehicles, so they don't do it. It would kill their business for minimal profit. So I think the default of, hey, MIDeal, that's what we do, it's clearly not best. We would be saving money right now by going the other way. So I don't think we can just go with that. Personally, I don't understand why anyone's upset about how this is coming to us anyway, or trying to say that they're lowballing. Lowballing is great. We're trying to save money around here. Local government. Spend everyone's tax money as efficiently as possible. We have an opportunity to save money right now. It shouldn't matter how the savings came to us. It shouldn't matter who's bringing it to us. It's all the better who's bringing it to us in this matter. So I don't understand it strikes me as very odd, the objection over how this came and the timing. It doesn't matter. We're here to work efficiently, and someone came to us with a better proposal. So I don't know how you don't approve that. Thank you.
Councilmember Smiley.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the bid process.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All right, I got a motion and a second to waive the bid process. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Councilmember Gotchall?
Yes.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
No.
Councilmember Sharp?
Nay.
Councilmember Smiley?
Yes.
Mayor Beagle?
No.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yes?
Councilmember Behrman?
Yes.
4 yes, 3 no.
Councilmember Behrman?
I'd like to make a motion to table this current agenda item and allow fire administration to send this out to bid.
All right, I got a motion and a second to table this discussion. Any discussion?
I have a clarification. So
Okay.
how will that work? If we just made a motion to waive it, then we don't,
That was to waive it to go with go with Smith Camp.
But it has to be unanimous.
It has to be unanimous
Yeah.
so that it
So it
passes.
didn't pass, even though there's 4 yes.
okay. So
So-
now your motion is to,
Table is,
The only way to avoid the bid process is for it to be unanimous. Since it wasn't unanimous, my motion is to table it and allow the bid process to work its way out.
thank you.
any other discussion? I have a motion and a second to table new business item number 1. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No.
Councilmember Grenlund Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Sharp?
Nay.
I'm sorry, nay?
Nay. No.
Thank you. Councilmember Smiley?
Yes.
Mayor Beagle?
No.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Nay?
Councilmember Behrman?
Yes.
Councilmember Gotchall?
Yes.
4 yes, 3 no.
All right. New business number 1 has been tabled. Moving on to new business number 2 is a recommendation to accept the mutual non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement with Terra Environmental LLC of Charleston, South Carolina to evaluate the viability of the removal of biosolids containing polyfluoroalkyl substances from the storage tanks located at the Water Resource Recovery Facility and allow DPW Director Tim Sigma to sign the agreement. Do I have a motion?
Forward.
Mr. Sigma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we do have biosolids that have PFAS or polyfluoroalkyl substances in the biosolids, and we are working on ways to remove them from the treatment plant. They are not being discharged, for the record. They are not being discharged to the creek, and we are in compliance with all of our NPDES limits currently. But what we would like to do is remove them from the site, clean up the tanks that we have. And we feel that this group has given us the opportunity to do that. And we'd like to talk with them further. They do have some proprietary ways of disposing of this chemical. And our current discussions include being able to clean the tanks and remove what's there and haul it to their transfer treatment and design facility at TSD to treat and dispose of these chemicals properly and break them down into the specific chemicals that they were derived from. It is proprietary, it's new technology, and we are, as you know, on the cutting edge of this since the beginning, and I feel that this is a good step or a step in the right direction. This, right now, it doesn't have any effect on budgets. We don't know what necessarily that will cost yet. We are budgeting for some things in the future, as you know, but this particular group also, we believe, has financial ties that would help us with the research and development and possibly get grants for it. So we want to talk with them for a while, develop a plan, and then I'd come back with some actions at that time.
I don't know if it's a good thing that we're on the cutting edge of getting rid of PFAS,
I
but
know, but it is our realities, and we've been working with the state for a number of years, helping them develop that, and this is our next step.
is there any way that any costs associated with this and the removal of that we can go after Tri-Bar and get our money back
That is one of the potentials as well.
without having to go to court?
Without having to go to court, there are some advantages to that yet that we're still looking into. We're hoping that this may that we may receive some either state or federal funding that would help us with that. So,
All right. Councilmember Behrman?
4 years ago, we had that filtration system with tents and whatnot,
yeah,
trying to get rid of these chemicals, right?
correct.
And the tanks that you showed me today, are those tanks the same stuff from there, or is this something we've collected since then?
So, yeah, that we had fully intended to utilize the treatment processes that we had on site and use activated carbon to remove all of it. If you recall, the timing of that brought us into winter problems that we were paying monthly for, and we went right up to our grant funding possibilities for that, and we were no longer able to keep that project without spending an awful lot of more money. So we utilized what we had. We considered it a pilot study for future use. That's why we did retain the activated carbon and the resin that we still have at the treatment plant. So in the future, we could dispose of it if we needed to. We'd still have to bring that funding back up and figure out a way to do that. I feel that this still is an unfunded mandate to some extent from the state and the federal government. And we feel that some of that responsibility of cleanup should fall on other entities. And so I think that's why we want to first at least walk down this road and see what it'll bring us.
Clearly, there's a lot there still, so it makes sense for us to start moving forward.
We were able to treat about half of it.
Councilmember Gacho?
Thank you. In reading through the proposed contract, I wanted to make sure, because in section 5 exceptions, it says confidential information shall not include any information which receiving party can show, and then subsection E says is required to be disclosed by law. Since the laws are literally still being written about PFAS, it's tough to say what is or isn't law and what has to be disclosed. Want to make sure that this is just to enter into discussions to maybe hire them to do this in the future, and that in no way will it prevent the city from being completely transparent about what is happening, the levels of PFAS and all of that. I want to make sure it's open book on that, and that no one from their side is construing any part of this contract as an ability to circumvent any reporting, or whether it's required or just good practice and transparency.
Correct. Well, just moving it off the treatment or off the plant site, we would need to work with Eagle to make that happen. That would require some permits or Part 41 permitting process. So yeah, this is the first step in, I'm thinking many that we'll need to do for that. But what this is protecting is any kind of proprietary treatment processes. This particular one hasn't been done in other areas, and with such a large, I guess, group of individuals interested in it, they feel that it's going to be of value to many communities in the future, and the company doesn't want to lose their process and their patents because of discussions. So we're just trying to protect some of that.
It did state in here that under section 1.2, confidential information definitions, I understand the trade secrets and technology and whatnot, but it does make reference to laboratory sampling, data or results, reports, whether in draft or final. That's what concerns me, is that language makes it seem like anything that's done as a part of this by them or by us is going to be protected, and I don't think that should be the case.
Yes, and at the end of the day, this is still, once it leaves the site, it still belongs to the city of Wixom until it's treated to the point of breaking it down into the different elements. So fluoride, for example, it's a fluoride chain, so they have to monitor how that's treated, and it will be treated in a manner and proof of that manner to be able to sign off on it, so that it's no longer a hazard to society.
Is that something that because there would be sampling and lab reports that go into that.
Yep.
They understand that would be disclosed?
That needs to
is
be
not.
Yeah.
So that's already in law, okay, all right. That was my main concern, is obviously we want to be as transparent as possible. I understand not wanting to give away a company's technology and whatnot, but seeing the language in there about sampling and lab reports was concerning to me, that we don't have to report or disclose something because it's not written in law yet.
Right.
Well, people should still know.
I think the company's concern about laboratory results are laboratory results that they've had from other companies that they've utilized to show that their system works. They would need to show that just to prove that the system that they're recommending works for me to even say yes to moving forward. So those are the things I think that they're trying to protect and keep, I guess, close to their vest to make sure that it's.
Yeah, our reporting is just going to be covering the same old in terms of the levels of the chemicals and substances that are in the material. That's not going to be something they're concerned about being released. It's just verification as to whether, and that's not even under this agreement.
No.
This agreement is strictly for evaluation of whether this could be something that either party wants to proceed with. There's going to be there's not going to be any testing that's done on the materials, because there's not going to be any treatment done on the materials through this process. Ultimately, if we decide to go forward with the process with them and have it treated by them with their process or whatever it is that comes out of this, then there would be testing that would be involved. But again, I think it would just be levels testing that would be released to the state. That's not anything that would be problematic for the company or for the city.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Sickman, how did we come to talk to Terry Environmental? Or they reach out to us, or we find them through Eagle or
different channels, right? So I have I've attended several water conferences over the last, 4 or 5 years, and I've been trying to remove this or get groups involved to, determine how to effectively and economically treat this to our standards. And this particular group, I've known people in this group for a few years already, and mentioned it, and they, hey, it's a friend of a friend, basically, is how this one came about.
So there's no, I thought, well, maybe we're like a beta, part of their design and development. I can't, all of a sudden I lost the research and R&D, but we're not. We're just doing a tech review with them, and they want us to make sure we're not taking that tech review and bidding it out to a local car dealer and see if they can come in cheaper.
Exactly.
Okay, just checking. So, there's no money being
Not yet.
changed hands unless we like what we see.
Correct.
And then,
New action.
so, what's that?
New action by council.
New action, yeah, or we might have to have closed session on or something like that if it's legal, proprietary, something. Anyway, that's for future. Anyway, okay.
Future discussion.
You answered my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you. Mr. Sigma, the term and termination clause right now is for 1 year. The survivability only pertains to Section 6, which is indemnification. What I want to make sure is, let's say 4 years from now, there's a best practices and you get called on by a group of DPW leaders and wastewater treatment plant experts come together, and there's best practices know-how that come out of this, that you're going to be able to share that, because there's really no survivability in terms of the confidential information exchanged during that 1 year. And I just, because I searched through it about 5 times, I could not find that anywhere. And I'm used to seeing two items in mutual NDAs. One is the term of the agreement, and the other is survivability of the confidential information. It might be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
This technology for PFAS is going so fast. I mean, I do know of other companies that are involved, that are able to treat this waste and treat it effectively. This particular group, I think, has the financial ways and means to make it happen for us, and that's part of the reason. And I'm hoping that that will be we'll be able to bring something back to you very quickly on that. So we would be within that year. I'm not sure from the company's perspective where we would be after that, but the confidentialities of that would be determined later.
Yeah, it looks like by mutual agreements, they could decide to let you go speak at a conference or whatever.
Yep.
If it was, okay. As I noticed it wasn't there, that's why I was curious.
And
You
they
don't
were
see any,
speak at conferences.
1 year is great, I mean, if it's only
Right.
1 year.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to accept the mutual non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement with Terry Environmental LLC of Charleston, South Carolina, to evaluate the viability of the removal of biosolids containing polyfluoroalkyl substances from the storage tanks located at the Water Resource Recovery Facility, and allow DPW Director Tim Sigma to sign the agreement. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
All right, and that concludes the new business portion of this meeting tonight. We'll move on to call to the public. The rules to call to the public were the same as what I read earlier with, now you can speak whatever's on your mind. Do we have anybody for the second call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close that, move on to city manager's comments. City Manager Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. So work anniversaries, we've got work anniversaries ranging from 21 years down to 1 year. Congratulations to all the employees, and thank you to all the employees for their great service, years of service to the city of Wixom. The second item on there is related to the DPW, that it's just an FYI that we created a road construction project update page on the city website. And the intent is to keep this page's location consistent, the same, and not need to update that information, and just strictly update the content within that page. so we can regularly keep residents, visitors, et cetera, informed about road projects in and around Wixom. There's a QR code that's linked to that webpage, which was provided with the city manager update. It's been covered on the website. It's been covered on social media. We're trying to get the word out about the availability of this resource. We got it in the Crossroads as well in time. So we're trying to share that information as widely as possible, and the idea is that it's going to be a permanent location. We won't need to update the QR code. We won't need to update residents on going back to that page for that information. It's always going to be at that location, and we'll share that same QR code in the future if we need to bring something to the attention of people through social media or things of that sort. So we've got information on the website about the various road projects that are impacting the area, including one in the city of Novi, south of Grand River on Wixom Road. So that's just an FYI for mayor and council that we're working at doing a better job on getting information out about road construction impacts in the area. The other thing I want to make mention of is related to the calendar. There was one correction. The employee picnic is listed on that calendar listing as being on Thursday, June 13th. There was a change in the date that wasn't updated in this table, and I apologize for that. It's actually on Thursday, June 6th, in association with the beginning of the Fun Nights concert series beginning on that date on June 6th. So the employee volunteer picnic is going to be on June 6th. That's a corrected date on that. And that's all that I had from the city manager's update there. If you have any questions or anything, I will do my best to answer it or get the information that you're asking for.
Still at 6, correct?
Yeah, same time.
Very good. Assistant City Manager?
The only comment I have is I just wanted to give a shout out to Tim and his team, as well as some of our other staff and contractors for putting on the Earth Day event today, inviting middle schoolers from Sarah Banks, as well as the general public for an open house of the wastewater treatment facility, DPW facilities. Just really well done, and shout out to Safe Build specifically for making some donations, as well as F&V for all the work that they did. Seemed really well received, and I just wanted to make sure you got a shout out for that.
Thank you. Council comments. Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. I don't know all of the clerks in Oakland County, but word on the street is Kathy Buck is the best one. And I bring that up because sadly this is her last council meeting. She'll be retiring. She'll be around a couple more weeks, but this is her last meeting, so we're gonna miss you. You've been you've been here my whole time, and I think you're the best clerk in the county, maybe the state, but I don't know enough clerks. Anyway, thank you for all the years of service, and we'll see you on election day.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all.
Councilmember Behrman.
Well, first and foremost, I'll echo the same comments on our clerk retiring. It's going to be disappointing to not see you here anymore, and I've enjoyed you being our clerk since I've been here around. I will have to say I think we're very fortunate on our replacement clerk. She seems to have been trained extremely well by our current clerk, so at least we have that to look forward to. I did attend the DPW open house today, and Tim took me and showed me some of the improvements that we've been paying for at the water plant over the last couple of years. It was a new clarifier we put in. There used to be 3, now there's 4, and all the new parts. And if you haven't been there in a while, they took the old control board that didn't really control anything, and replaced it with a new touchscreen television that is pretty advanced, that you can really see everything in the plant. But they still saved the old board for display purposes, and they moved it to a different part. I just encourage you, if you haven't been there recently, to go take a visit. It didn't smell that bad today.
Did they move it to Henry Ford? Is the museum?
Not old board? No, they moved it like down more down more into the, I guess, the clarifying area. I don't know where the stuff drops from the ceiling into the dumpsters. If you've been there, right? By there?
Yep.
Yeah, that is.
You good?
What was that? No, not really.
And the new clarifier, though, it looks nice. It looks brand new. It's good. necessary gets clear, what is clarified.
Councilmember Gatchel?
I'm not gonna say I want to echo the other comments about our city clerk, because they didn't go far enough. They only stopped at best clerk in the county, maybe state. They left off country, hemisphere, planet, universe. No. It's been very helpful having you here, Kathy, for my 8 years on council, and just making sure that I'm aware of what's going on and answering my questions and helping out. So I've really appreciate getting to know you and work with you, and wish you a lot of happy enjoyment in retirement.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, good discussion tonight, and even though we don't always see eye to eye, 4-3 votes are rare, and that's why there's 7 of us, because there's a broad view on what's important and what isn't, and it's really, it's fun almost. Anyway, I want to shout out the branding team, Drew Benson and Laura Cloutier kind of leading that effort. We had a meeting narrowing down signage and wayfinding and logos and all. It's pretty exciting. There's some really fun things that we're talking about. We're getting closer to bringing something to council. It's still a few weeks away, but really good meeting. And this guide team's pretty good, the one that we hired. So well done, everybody. The DPW update online, I noticed that today. I was looking on our website for something else, and I know Deputy Mayor Resnick's been very emphatic about current events being first and foremost on the website. It was today, a big orange caution construction sign or something of that nature, and guiding you to where to look for what's going on in the city roadwise. So that was really good and timely to have it in the meeting tonight. And I want to thank Clerk Kathy Buck for all her service and wish her well in retirement. I know that camper can get out on long trips now because you don't have to worry about coming back.
That's right.
So enjoy your first one. I know where it is, but I'm not telling anybody.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
Councilmember Grillen Fox?
Are you afraid that we're all going to show up or something, Kathy?
Sure, that'd be fun.
It would be.
As long as they don't have to take minutes.
Yeah. No minutes. I too would like to thank Tim and his staff and all those that were involved. I think it's great to have that information. It's very much needed, very helpful to everyone. So thank you for that. Thank you to all those employees celebrating work anniversaries, and also Kathy, thank you so much for everything you do. Enjoy every minute of your retirement.
I will.
Every minute.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you, Mayor. Kathy, it's it's been great. I can remember the day that I heard that you were coming over. It was from a mutual friend of ours. I was at a Walled Lake Western football game, and he came up to me and he says, "You don't know how lucky you are." And he was on Walled Lake City Council at that time before he passed away, but he said, "You don't know how lucky you guys are," and I realized in the beginning that we were very, very fortunate in getting you, and we'll miss you. Maybe we'll see each other on the road on our retirement trips, who knows? But,
Yes.
thank you so much. Also want to shout out to DPW, Spurt, Safe Build, and F&V. I also attended the very interesting demonstrations today. I had not been in about 15 years, so for me it was a refresher course, and it was very enlightening. I got to see a water worm. Was that under the microscope?
Water bear?
Water bear, yeah, that was interesting. All the microbes that eat up the stuff. So it was very, very well put out, and you realize how much knowledge Tim has over his entire career of wastewater treatment plants. It's just amazing. And the other thing, Kathy, I'll deliver your last blizzard then at an election on May 7th. So
Okay.
you won't be getting any more of those. The QR code on the Friday blast, I might just recommend include the URL down at the bottom of it for maybe some seniors that don't have a you know, a camera on their phone, they can at least click the URL to get to the site quickly. I noticed the QR code was there, that was great, for anybody that has a smartphone with a camera, but I've heard that people still use flip phones, I don't know. All right, with that, I think I'm finished. Thank you.
And I'd just like to say congratulations to the 5 employees that are celebrating their work anniversaries with us. Appreciate everything they do. And Kathy, it's been fun. I want to thank you for putting up all my shenanigans for all this time. And we become good friends, and I really cherish our friendship. And I'm looking forward to meeting you and your husband at the back lot in a couple of months. And almost welcome to the club. You got a couple of weeks yet, but welcome to the club. Thank you for all you do for our city. We really appreciate it. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for the flowers.
You're welcome.